It's the final countdown. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today in the Creator Town Hall for another week, but also the last week of 2022. Yeah, this show is going on hiatus for a little while, and I'll explain a little bit about why that is in the show here. So, this final show, we're going to do it pretty casually. We don't have a specific topic. I'm going to cover a few things. So we're going to talk releasing music because I've just released a song and an EP with DistroKid, and I've got some new videos and things about that. So I've got some folks that have had a few questions, and I thought I'd cover off on some of that. I'm also going to talk about YouTube and some tips for releasing your videos on YouTube. I'll take you behind the scenes of this channel and show you a few little bits and pieces of what I do and how I actually manage my videos, because like it or not, in 2022, video is definitely part of the music creation process. And if you're not following along with Jade Starr and her Rocktober stuff, you should be. But yeah, it's super important to have video as well as audio in 2022. We'll also be talking a bit about time management. I'll give you a bit of a gear update from the gear guide, and that and a whole bunch more here today. G'day to the folks who are here live. Hello to Josh Calcutt. Yeah, ready for the grand finale. Thank you to Mark Bro. Hello to Beats by Rome B. I hope you are doing well on what is a Friday morning here in sunny Australia. It is a Thursday afternoon or evening, depending where you are in the world, and we're going to be hanging out here. If you have a question, by the way, as we always say, just put a big fatty old Q in front of it. That'll just tell me that it will be a question and that you're not just having a chat. Because I do love the fact that so many of you just have a yarn and have a chat here in the live stream. So feel free to chat amongst yourselves. But if you've got a question, then you want to raise something to my attention, just putting a big Q in front of your comment just helps out as well. We'll dive into a few topics, but it looks like the cavalry has arrived here. Hello, Joe and Barry Glenn. G'day, Gary Hubs, Mr. Thomas Christ, Leela, Lou Reality. We got Frank Terzo. We got the one and only Deep Gravity here, the Falcro as well, and other folks that I have not seen. SM Borthwick. Hello, how are you, Scott? I hope you're doing well, my friend. Yes, bonjour, salut, and greetings to everybody. Hello, Dan Ekberg. Dan Ekberg was in touch this week, and he said that the punk song that I made using GarageBand on GarageBand Weekly sounds a bit like Social Distortion, and that's probably one of the best compliments I've got in a while. So I wanted to kick into things here. As I said, if you've got any questions, please throw them here in the chat. I just wanted to let you know about this. If you're wondering when the live shows are, because there's a lot of time changes happening, and we are, of course, changing this show, which I'll talk about in a moment, but the time changes for some of the other shows are driven by the fact that we've got some shuffles in time around the world. So we've just gone into daylight saving time here in Australia, and you're about to come out of it in the US, Canada, and UK. But like most things in the world, nothing aligns. It's not like we all pick one weekend and it all happens. So the best thing to do is to go to this playlist. It's at studiolivetoday.com/live. So just think studiolivetoday.com/live, and I update this every week. So it's always got the latest times for all the shows. And here's the thing, if you want to set yourself a reminder, so for Your Music Live, if you click on that one, it tells you right there. So for me, it's the 17th of October at 8:30 a.m. You can click the notification button, which is a bit different from the notification bell. It's a lot better to do this for live shows, to come in here and turn that on. So if you want to make sure you don't miss it, but like me, you hate having notifications on for everything else, that's one way to do it. Yes, that's Ed Borthwick. And look, that's a great segue into what's changing and what I'm doing differently around here. So first of all, shout out to my patrons at studiolivetoday.com/Patreon. We've been chatting about a few things in the last few weeks, and I've been gauging some advice from folks about what to do, and it's all related to time management, putting your best foot forward, changing things up, and pivoting, as they say in the new world, which is a really wanky word, but it's kind of what it is. And I realized that 4 live shows a week was just not sustainable. So something had to give. I love doing the happy hour. That's kind of my downtime where I get to play some music and have some fun. GarageBand Weekly. There's a lot of folks out there using GarageBand, and GarageBand is only growing in momentum, so that show's staying. And Your Music Live, of course, the wonderful DistroKid sponsor that one, and many of you get to share your music on there. The odd one out was this show, and I've shimmied this show around a few times. We've changed dates, we've changed times to try and accommodate more folks. But what I worked out was that having a more generic show was really flexible. It meant that we could have guests on, I could do some solo shows, we could do some music creating, but it doesn't really have much replay value. If you're not here live or watching within the first day or two, really doesn't add a whole lot of value, and it really ties me into doing things at a particular time, which isn't great if I want to have guests on from other parts of the world. So for instance, I wanted to have Patrick on the show. It's too late for Patrick in the UK, or at least it was. It'll get better. So I had to pre-record, and I've had to do a few things like that. So what's going to happen is we're going to change things up a little bit, and I'm going to have, not completely, that's why I didn't say we're killing the show, it's going away. It is on hiatus, and it will come back in different forms in terms of having some just extended Ask Me Anything type shows, which are always a lot of fun, doing a little bit more of the music trivia and quiz stuff that we've done in the past, which has always been fun, and being able to still have interviews, but have them at different and flexible times. So not having tied into just the one time for things. So if you're wondering what's going on and why, that's the basics of it. And it'll also free up a lot more time to do what were the fundamentals of this channel. Because I started Studio Live today to help people create, record and release their best music. And doing this show is great because I can answer questions and I can be interactive. But I wasn't creating enough tutorials. So there's a lot of things I want to cover in the world of GarageBand and in Logic and how to use gear, how to set your gear up, that I haven't been spending enough time doing. So this will give me the opportunity to actually change things up and spend a bit more time doing that, which is going to be a good thing. Hello to some other folks who have joined us here. There we go. Yes, like the jersey. Let's go Rangers. let it be said that. And is it a coincidence that I'm removing one live show just as hockey season starts? Or is there some relationship between the two? I'll let you be the judge of that. It's just a happy coincidence. Yeah, and look, if you do want more live, you can use the playlist there, and you can also support over at Patreon, as Thomas and Mark and many of you fine folks do. Hello to Dr. Zorders, who's in the house. Welcome back to you, Doctor. Good to see you here. Oh wait, we've got to do one, don't we? Dr. Zorders. Haven't done that for a long time. Too long between doctor's orders. G'day, Tommy. Thank you for being here as well. I'm going to jump into a couple of questions here because I can see a couple in the queue. Once again, if you are joining us late and you have a question for me here today, all you need to do is put a big Q in front of your question and I'll be happy to answer it. Be cool like Joe and Barry Glenn, who said, I used automation on 3 vocal tracks to edit the best bits. I want to now merge those 3 tracks as my main vocal before adding harmonies, etc. Barry thinks I should the tracks. Oh no, I should. What's the word? What does Barry think you should do to your tracks, Joe? I'm trying to interpret it, but I might have to wait. I'll wait for Joe, but we'll talk about the basics of what you're talking about there. Split the tracks. Should I split the tracks? Okay, so before Barry thinks I should split the tracks. So use automation of vocal best bits. I want to merge those to my main vocal before adding the harmonies. Extra. Barry thinks I should split the tracks. So if I'm understanding the question, let's jump over to here. So what we're talking about is merging down vocals. I'm assuming you've got a couple of tracks here. So I want to merge. So if you've got 3 backing vocals, and you want to merge them down. Barry thinks I should split the track. So I'm not really sure in terms of what the splitting will be, because splitting a track here in GarageBand would just be something like this, or do you mean, I'm assuming you don't mean splitting it up like that. I'm assuming you mean having them on separate tracks. I think the basics of the question there are, if you've got enough tracks to keep them separate and to not merge things down, do that, because it gives you more flexibility down the track, because as soon as you merge, don't forget, you lose the ability to adjust any of the volumes or any of the balance between the volumes and the automation. So if you can keep the tracks as separate tracks with the automation on them as long into the process as possible, that's kind of my general advice on that one. You don't want to be merging things down only to find out that you want to make a change. I mean, it's good to commit to things, but yeah, you don't want to give yourself too many Yeah, I would just go with that. I would leave it there as long as you can. But yeah, once you're happy, do merge it down because you will save yourself some tracks. And if you need some extra tracks, so if you need an extra couple of tracks, you can definitely do that. Hello to Jade Star, who's just interviewed John David Lees, the wonderful JDL. And I do need to catch up on the replay because I was sleeping in a bit. That's the other thing I've been doing. That's the other main reason for this is that, man, have I been sleeping in a bit more. I used to get up so early because here's the thing. I used to work a day job. So I'd get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock every day so that I could get this work in and then go and do a 9 to 5 day job and then come home and work. And I was so tired by like 9 o'clock at night, I'd be asleep and then back up at 5 to rinse and repeat. So, I need to get back into more of a routine of getting to bed, early to rise. Hello, Cold Acre. Excellent solo on Jade Starr's new Metheus track, Cold Acre, just quietly. Always adds something to it. I was saying on Patreon show this week that there's something about Metheus. There's something about Jade Starr's Metheus project that really resonates with me, and I think it's the epic guitars. I think it's Jade's epic bass and rhythm guitars, and then your lead over the top that just works together. It's like two great tastes that taste great together. Morning? Yes, I know. Time zones. Who knew? Who knew? Yes, it is morning time. It is morning time. I know. The world is a spinning globe, and the sun shines on different parts of it at different times of the day, depending where you are in the world. It's a weird and wacky phenomena known as time zones. But it is morning time. Morning time here, 8:30 in the morning. I know it's weird. People are like, you have to watch hockey. Like, it's sad. Like, I love watching the West Coast games because I can't really justify having a beer while I watch the Rangers game at 10 a.m. Well, I could, but it would be a bit of a slippery slope there. On opening night, I watched the Rangers win their opening game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then I watched the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and I was able to have a quiet beer while I watched the Knights beat the LA Kings, which was very cool. Sun always shines on TV. Late to bed and early to rise. Yeah, I know that's the rough one. That's what I don't want to do. I know that feeling. 16-hour work day. Yeah, and look, that's the other thing. Like, I realized that I was getting myself back into this routine with doing all of the shows at specific times, where I didn't have the freedom and flexibility, which was the main reason I wanted to get into this role, this job in the first place. If I wanted to have a schedule, I should probably work for an employer because they would actually pay me the same amount every week. I want the freedom of being able to do this and have some downtime and watch the occasional hockey game. How about I don't hamstring myself with the timing? But that being said, we're still going to balance things out because we've still got the three shows, and that's not changing anytime in the near or distant future at this stage. Never say never, but we'll go there. The pizza explanation of geography is so funny. The world is a spinning globe and the sun shines on different parts of the day. Yeah. It's true. Unless, of course, you think it's under a dome somehow and you think that planes fly around the world by going through some mystical vortex. I don't know. I don't know the answer. But I know that some people think Australia doesn't exist and that just below us is a giant ice wall. Antarctica, you can't actually fly over it, despite the fact that I personally know several people who have both cruised to and flown over Antarctica. But we're going to get off on tangents. And so this is the thing. This is why I know we need to change things up, because when Pete starts going off on tangents, you know things are going a bit south. All right. Hello, the Mix Club. Hello to you, Rhett. Thank you for joining us here. We're just having a bit of a casual chat here today. We're going to have a bit of fun. Danny Gable, hello to you as well. Thank you to anyone. If you haven't checked on in, then say hello. Please say hello because you're cool. And if you do have any questions, by the way, just put the word Q in front, or the letter Q. I guess Q is a letter, not so much a word. Wanted to just give you a quick update that I have updated the gear guide. I know people love it when I start spruiking my gear guide. It's my affiliate link list. But here's the thing. When I got into YouTubing, and we'll go a bit behind the scenes with what I do on YouTube here today, but when I got into doing YouTube, everyone was saying, you got to do affiliate marketing. And it took me probably 2 or 3 years before I actually took that seriously and started doing it. And look, it's been a good thing. It's been a lucrative thing. Probably wouldn't be able to do this full time if I didn't do the affiliate links and the affiliate marketing. But I wanted to make sure that everything I put on my gear guide was actually stuff that I'd used and recommend, because so many folks get excited by this. Because here's how it works. If you don't know the inside baseball of this, all of the links on here to Amazon, to Sweetwater, to Thomann, to eBay, they're affiliate links, which means every time you click through, if you make a purchase in that session, or usually within 24 hours of clicking through that link, then they break off a little chunk and they send it to me. It's usually in the range of 2% to 3%. So we're not talking cattle stations here, as we'd say in Australia. We're not playing for sheep stations. But if you buy a $100 audio interface, then Pete gets $3. And if enough people do that, then Pete can feed his family. So I did start moving into this space and doing it. But I wanted to make sure, because so many people, when they get started with this, they'll just link to everything and anything. They'll be recommending products. Everything's amazing. Have you seen these folks? Yeah. There's still people that are doing it. That it's like the home shopping network. Their YouTube channel becomes the home shopping network because everything is amazing. Everything is a must buy. Everything is fabulous. I don't do that. There's plenty of stuff. Basically, if it's not on this list, I don't use it, and therefore I don't recommend it, or I can't hand on heart recommend it. But I say all that to say, if you want to jump on in there, it's studiolivetoday.com/gear, that website, and it'll take you right to here. Super simple. This is my mobile setup. This is all the gear I use when I record on my iPad. Everything from my iPad through all my audio interfaces to my guitar to my microphones and other bits of kit, and then my desktop setup. So everything I use right here, right now. So this Mac Mini M1, that's the Mac Mini that I'm using to stream to you right here now. That's my MacBook Pro. The Zoom Live Track is the mixer that I'm using here. When I'm using headphones, it's the Sennheiser HD 280 Pros. My monitor speakers that I've got hooked up right here are these ones, the Eris 3.5. So again, a lot of people say to me, what's the best blah? What do you recommend for blah? It's all here. And then I've got the master list here as well that has everything you would possibly want. And what do you think? Some people will know this, but if you're watching live, what do you think is the product that I sell the most through my Amazon affiliate links? It's a bit of a strange one, but there is one product that accounts for maybe 30 to 40% of my entire revenue over the last 3 years. So see if you can guess what that one is. Barry's back from the sheep dip. Hope you are doing well, Barry. Thomas says, anytime I'm on the fence about getting a piece of gear, I just go to the gear guide. Pete has good experience. Odds are I will too. Yeah, and look, I know Thomas has just bought the Zoom Live Track, so Thomas has actually gone through here because he's a good man. He's gone and clicked on the gear guide here and come down to my desktop setup, and he needed a new mixer. He was using the Yamaha MG. He needed a new mixer that had some mix minus and some other options, and he went ahead and purchased this one. Holy dooly, it's $349. Okay. I hope you got a good deal, Thomas. I hope this is not making you feel bad, because it was $449 literally last time I checked, which was only about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So 13 days left on that limited time offer. There you go. If you're in the market for a decent mixer that has your 8 channels there, that has your mix minus functionality, that has built-in effects, you got 6 mic pre's there, you got your line input, you've got your audio throughput from your USB, which is important if you're doing live streaming like this. And here's the cool thing. The Zoom Live Track, see, now I'm doing the opposite. I'm sounding like the Home Shopping Network. Zoom Live Track even has an SD card there. So I could be recording every track that I'm recording on this show and mixing it down live to you, but I could also be recording it not only just to my computer, but to a SD card as well. So that's pretty darn cool. So thank you to Thomas, and thank you to everyone, because I know a lot of folks do that. And here's the thing, when you make any purchase, I know a lot of people don't know this, but if you go there and you're like, oh, I'm checking out this new audio interface, and then you're like, no, but I need a giant bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. Well, guess what? You buy yourself a $30 pillowcase-sized bag of peanut butter cups, and Pete gets a couple of bucks. So, so just keep that in mind. But I do thank everyone for doing that. I like it. Deep Gravity just got a Zoom G1.4. Very nice. Yeah, Zoom makes some good gear. What do people think that I sell the most of? Toothpaste? Yeah, I do sell some weird items. I'll tell you a couple of those in a moment. Mics. Yeah, there's quite a few microphones, especially because I've been recommending the AKG D5 and the Audio-Technica AT2020 for a while. Cucumbers. Maybe just cucumbers. Yeah, headphones. Yeah, there's definitely a few headphones that get sold. Q-tips. I do sell toothpicks, which is weird. You might think that that's bizarre, but I've got some videos about how to clean out your headphone jack and how to clean out your lightning port, and toothpicks are something that I recommend, and I've even got links to Amazon for toothpicks, and it's very weird when I see that people have been watching that video and buying toothpicks. G'day, Dave Fox, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Howdy, Brian, Jay. Hello, Rena. Yeah, I got. Oh, you paid a bit less because you got an open box. Very cool. That's excellent. I like it. Yeah. So the answer is cameras. Yeah, cameras, adapters and stuff like that. Yes, it is that. Oh, the UR22C. I do sell a lot of those because that's my favorite Steinberg mixer I've been recommending for ages. But it's actually, drum roll, please. The number one best-selling item from Pete John's Studio Live Today Gear Guide is the Lightning to USB 3 adapter. Yes, it's a Lightning to USB 3 adapter, which is in my mobile setup, if I can find it. That's not a good sign. Look at that. I don't even have it in my mobile setup. See, I need to go back and add it in here. I've got my USB. Oh, that's because I've got my USB-C adapter because I don't use a Lightning-based iPad anymore. But because I've got a bunch of videos all about how to connect up your, where are we going to find it? Adapters. Apple, there you go. It is this one, Apple to Lightning to USB 3 adapter. So because I've got a heap of videos about connecting USB drive, currently unavailable, about connecting audio interfaces, microphones, and it's probably reducing a bit. The ratio of Lightning adapters to actual USB-C adapters is probably changing. Does Sweetwater have any of these in stock? It's a bit of a worry, isn't it, that there's none in stock? There you go. You can buy them on Sweetwater. So here's the thing. If you are connecting up your iPhone or your iPad to any USB gear, this is a $39 piece of kit. But what people do is that they watch my videos. So if you, for instance, if you come to YouTube and you search, let's just say connect iPhone to USB drive. Let's see Pete's, there you go. My search engine optimization is still solid. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the first 9 options are all me. So these are some of the biggest videos I have. So how to connect your USB flash drives with an iPhone. And I do need to refresh these because that's 3 years old and a few things have changed a little bit there. But what you'll see is when you go to that one, oh, look at me, I'm standing up. We've got the old blue couch, old school, man. But the very first thing that we have in here is a link directly to that. And see, what I need to do, I'll probably need to come back and update this because it's check out the USB adapter on Amazon. But as we just saw, it's out of stock on Amazon. So I think I need to come in here and add a link to Sweetwater as well, and maybe even to eBay, so that when folks come and click on those, they're not disappointed. But usually Amazon have them in stock. They're just out of stock at the moment because supply chains are a thing. I love that it's in parallel cables by Apple. When was the last time anyone used a parallel cable for anything? That's just bizarre. So yeah, that's a little bit of inside baseball, behind the scenes kind of stuff. And what I was halfway through saying is, as Thomas says, you can't do much without that one. What people do is that they watch my videos and then they're like, you don't need to buy a genuine Apple one. I'm going to go out to eBay or to Amazon and buy a $10 knockoff one. And they plug it in and it doesn't work. And then they come back and they're like, man, you said to buy this. And I said, well, no, I very specifically said to buy the genuine adapter, to the point where I now have this video where I tell folks, sorry, you need to use a genuine one. Why use a genuine Lightning to USB adapter? So a lot of folks go down this sort of slippery slope of going and buying the cheap one and then coming back and saying, I should have listened to you the first time, Johns. And then they have to go buy the more expensive one. So the moral of that story is always listen to me all the time. Right. We've got a few more questions coming in here. In Cyprus, have you been there? No, I've not been to Cyprus. I haven't been to Greece. I've only been to Europe once in my life, and that was back in 2008, and it was a Kentucky tour, which, if you know anything about Kentucky tours, you know what that's all about. So I saw the sights, and I saw a lot of drunk teenagers. But yeah, I went to the UK, so I've been to London, and we went through, where did we go? Like Germany, Italy, Amsterdam, Switzerland. So around through that area. So I've only been in kind of that like tourist loop area. So I haven't been to Cyprus, but sounds like a good place. Sounds like a good place to be. Who's got more videos, Pete, or the rest of you? Well, it's interesting because I was looking at my overall channel stats the other day, which you can see if you use TubeBuddy. By the way, yeah, slight plug here, but down in the description, if you're starting to create videos, and we're going to talk about that next anyway. So if you're creating videos and you want to get a little bit more behind the scenes of your YouTube numbers and stats and things, and you want to get some help with things like keywords and adding tags and things like that, TubeBuddy is what I use for it, and it's a Chrome plugin. And if you come back over to here, I'm just going to pause that because I don't like watching myself talk. That's a good pause. Hey. But yeah, I just crossed 30 million views. Hashtag humble brag. But 30 million views, so it's kind of ridiculous. But I do have 2.62 thousand videos as well. So it's pretty nuts when I look back at that, and I'm just like, oh my God, 30 million plus times that people have looked at my mug. And I told my daughter that the other day. I'm like, oh, did you know I just crossed 30 million views, Jasmine? And she's like, Mr. Beast gets 30 million views on one video. I'm like, I mean, not wrong, but it might make me cry. Not really. I saw Insignia at Apple Best Buy is Apple certified. How about that? Yeah. So, and that's the thing. There is MFI, which used to be made for iPod. I guess it's made for iOS now, pretty much. But yeah, there's some other Apple certified gear. So they have partners like Belkin, who make stuff that you can still pretty much recommend. Unfortunately, if you go to Amazon or eBay, a lot of them just have MFI certified down the bottom. They're 100% not. Like, yeah, you'll know the difference. It's like that whole get what you pay for thing. Yeah, you'll know if it's too cheap. It's like, here's the thing. Here's a word of warning. I bought some strings recently, and I use, as you may be aware, I use Elixir strings. So I'm just like, oh wow, 3 sets of Elixirs for like $40. That's a great deal. So I bought them, and they're just not quite right. So they are a very, very high quality counterfeit of Elixir strings. But I should have known that because Elixir strings are like $22, $23 each. So to get like 3 packs for 40 or whatever I paid for them, it was too good to be true. And it wasn't. So should I be complaining to this seller and returning them? Probably. Am I going to? Probably not. I'll just stick them on my cheaper guitar. Because they're actually okay. They're just not the proper wound strings that are actually Elixirs. So that's where it is. Best Buy says their brand is just certified by Apple, $30 cheaper. And yeah, look, the other thing is, even the ones that are certified, if they're not made by Apple and Apple choose to make an update, look, if they are technically 100% MFI, they should be fine. And especially if it's just something like a charger cable or even a data cable, I personally found that because the USB adapters create an actual USB host, those USB 3 adapters have a chip inside that when you first plug them in, they have firmware. They actually update the firmware on that particular adapter. So if there's one that was made for, even if it was made to work perfectly for iOS 15 or 14, there's no guarantees that in 16 and 17 and moving forward it's going to continue to work. Whereas Apple, you just know it's going to work. So again, it depends on your application. If you just need to charge your phone, I don't buy Apple cables to charge my phones. I buy Anchor, or I buy a brand that I know is going to work, but it's not going to break the bank like Apple cables. I'm not paying $35 for a thin USB-A to Lightning cable. No. I'll pay $10, I'll get the Anchor ones. I'm also not paying $1 from the local kind of Chinese market stall, because that will probably blow up my phone. And we don't want that. Hello, David Booth. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Yeah. Did you like the old school Pete from the angle? Look at that angle. Could I get higher up there? Obviously, I'd been playing around with angles, and I'm like, okay, I look better. I have less chins from the further up you go. All right. Thank you. No, thank you. Appreciate you. Elixir. Yeah. Elixir. The weird thing is that everything is perfect, and it wasn't until I really closely looked at it that I realised that they were not quite right. Does anyone remember the old videos, the old VHS tapes, where it was like the piracy warning? Here in Australia, we had this guy with like the deep voice who was like, ever rent a videotape that wasn't quite right? Yeah, apparently it was all because people would pirate videotapes. So yes, ever had some Elixir strings that weren't quite right? That's what I got. All right, now we had a couple more questions, so let's jump on over there and grab those. Why would I need to connect a MIDI keyboard to my iPad? Why would you need to? You wouldn't. No, it's cool. It's fun. It's fun to connect a MIDI keyboard to your iPad, and it's really simple to do as well. So if you've got a Lightning-based iPad or iPhone, you can hook it up with exactly the adapter we just talked about, the Lightning to USB 3 adapter. If, like me, you're using an iPad with USB-C, all I've got is a USB-C to USB adapter with power pass-through and a powered USB hub, and I connect both of those up. But the benefit is that when you start, especially if you're a keyboard player, whoop, get away, goof doofus, especially if you're a keyboard player, it's just so much nicer when you come in here and you say just throw the regular piano or an organ on here. Just being able to play on the touch screen is cool. We're in the sampler. Don't want to use sampler. Let's go into the piano. So yeah, obviously you've got cool options here in. We don't have our audio on. Let me just turn on the audio, and we'll have a quick listen to this, so I can show the setup. I don't know why, because you didn't really say, Pete, play some piano. You said, why would you hook up a MIDI keyboard? But hopefully the reasons will be clear soon. All right, is that coming through? Yeah, totally. So yeah, look, it's cool here because you can. Yeah, so you've got your full keyboard here, but it's not that easy. If I wanted to start playing some chords here with my keyboard, yeah. So even with the big wide keys there, with my fatty old chungus fingers, it's not that easy. Whereas if I grab myself just a $100 MIDI keyboard, plug it straight in, I've got complete control over that without having to actually touch the screen. So look, when you're starting out, and if you're not a keyboard player and you're just using this, say you want to use autoplay or you just want to play a few chords in there, yeah, absolutely, just use your touch screen of your iPhone or your iPad. But as soon as you want to do some more complex melodies, you want to play some chords, you want to make sure that your rhythm and your timing is all good, then that's where I'd recommend that. And if you go Pete John's MIDI keyboard, that's going to be the easiest way to find out how to do it. Look, we've got another one of these ones from really high up. Clearly, I was on a big thing where I wanted things really high for a while. So that shows you how to use your MIDI keyboard with your iPad or your iPhone via Lightning. And once again, if Pete's done his due diligence, he has. All the links to everything I use are down here. So that's my M Audio Keystation 49 that I recommend. This is a very, very nice... oh, look, everything's out of stock. You'd almost think that we were in a global supply shortage at the end of a pandemic or something. Everything's out of stock. But yeah, and you've got, again, the Apple Lightning to USB adapter. And so this is the problem, because these all link out to Amazon. If everything's out of stock, it doesn't show it there. What I should be doing with all these older videos is going back and linking them to my gear guide so that, so that I actually can find it. Oh, look at that. Do you see that camera shaking there? You can tell that the camera's on the desktop. Man, did I have some interesting ways of doing things back in the day. So yeah, why should you? Or why would you need to? You don't need to, but is it a lot of fun to play around with a MIDI keyboard? Sure is. I like it. I dig it. Steve says I have an Akai MPK MK3 and it's fab with my iPad Lightning cable. Totally. Absolutely. Does the keyboard have a 5-pin out? So the other thing is, if you've got USB, you can use any of those adapters. If you've got an older one, then you can use there's an adapter. So if you go Pete John's old MIDI, so I've got this video here that shows you how to connect up. If you've got one of these that has the 5-pin DIN connectors, you can use the little Roland adapter to connect to it. And if it's USB, as Thomas Christ says here, you can just use a USB hub and a Lightning to USB or USB to USB-C. So if you are on, if you go again, Pete John's USB-C, if you're not using a Lightning, use something like this. These little Atola adapters are excellent, and they're only like about $10 to $15. As you can see there, this one has USB, it's got USB-C pass-through, it's even got HDMI. So that's the benefit with an iPad that has USB-C, is that you can not only connect up USB gear, you can even get your USB out to go, your HDMI out so that you've got video there. And you can just plug in, like I got that big chungus Atola. It's like an 8-port USB hub. So you plug in your little adapter and then you plug in all of your gear, or you can go straight into the adapter as I'm doing there. But if you want to add a bunch of other stuff, you can put it all into the USB hub, and then you can have a, a bunch of stuff. You can have a USB drive, you can have a MIDI keyboard, you can have an audio interface, you can do it all. So yeah, that's the way to go if you've got a MIDI keyboard. It's a super simple thing to do. Yeah, and use the Apple camera connection kit. If you ever see anyone talking about a CCK, talk about that's a camera connection kit, because originally it was designed to hook up your cameras, and it can still do that, but these days a lot more people, I would say, use it, because cameras these days are mostly Wi-Fi, or you just pull the SD card out and shove it in, but you don't really want to connect up your camera directly and transfer over Lightning, because it's pretty bloody slow if you're doing large like video files. But if you're sending audio or sending MIDI data, it's great. Works a treat. Works an absolute treat. Yeah. So if your iPad's Lightning, you just need the Lightning to USB 3 adapter and potentially a powered USB hub. And all of that stuff is over at the Gear Guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear. You can go there. Chungus. Yes, it's a big Chungus. Big Chungus fingers I got. Makes it hard to tap on the screen. Oh, we've got some more questions. Don't forget, if you've got questions, I got answers, because we're having a pretty chill, relaxed kind of show here today. The Falco says, I'm happy with my 404, except that I've now filled all the fours, so it's all filled up. Dang it! I think I'm going to get the 18i20. Yeah. So if you're in the market for an interface, the one that Falco is using there, which is the Scarlet 4i4. So many folks are familiar with the Scarlet 2i2. In fact, I still use one in my desktop setup. This one here, the Focusrite Scarlet 2i2, which is probably one of the most famous audio interfaces. It's red, means it goes faster. One of the more popular audio interfaces going around at the moment. It's got two inputs there, separate gain control, direct monitoring, nice quality, high quality preamps there. So Focusrite make good gear. And then as you go up, what the Falco is talking about here is that once you hit the 4i4, you got your four inputs. So if you've got, say, a stereo pair of microphones, as well as an audio interface or a mixer that uses line inputs. So you can see that you've got 3 and 4 of your line inputs. So let's say you had a keyboard, like a stereo synth, you can plug that in there for your 2 channels and still leave yourself 2 channels at the front for like a microphone and a guitar. As you go up from there though, it starts getting a bit pricey. You can go to something like the 18i20, which is what Falco is talking about here, which is this piece of kit. This thing looks nice. But again, you're doubling your cost again. You're going up to $549. And you can see there, you've got your 2 inputs there. But what's with all these knobs? Where do I plug all my other stuff in? Well, guess what? You flip her over. And look at that. You've got an additional 6 preamps there. You've got an additional 5 stereo pairs. Oh, that's your outputs. Are they all your outputs? Yeah. So you've got your main outputs and you've got your alternative outputs, so you can send stuff around. You've got optical, so you can put optical audio in and out. You've even got like the ability to use SPDIF and sync it with a clock with other gear as well. So yeah, if you're looking for something to go to the next level, something like that's pretty good. Because I'm a Steinberg user, I tend to recommend, if you want a 4-channel interface, I use the old Steinberg UR44. Which is similar to the 4i4, about the same price. I just like it better because it's got the 4 straight across the front there. So you've got 4 separate preamps. If you want to use 4 independent microphones, you can go ahead and do it. And in fact, this is the old version. This is oh no, that's the 44C. So this is the 44C. So yeah, you've got 48 volts fan and power. You've got all the regular stuff, and yeah, and you've got the dual power source there as well, which is handy because you can either plug this into the wall, or you can plug it in via USB 3. So it means that you can use it with your mobile devices a lot easier because you can separately power it if you need to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Mark says that, yeah, people are rushing to buy them because of the EU decision on USB-C. Yeah, have folks caught up on this? If you're not aware and you're not across this, yeah. So there's been a decision. So the European Union are probably one of the more aggressive people when it comes to technology and privacy. When I say people, organisations. So Australia are pretty aggressive. The US tends to be a little bit slower, a little bit harder. I think it's the whole freedom thing that they're like, no, people should be able to do it. Companies should be able to do anything. And it's a little bit more focused on the capitalist, and the big guys get a little bit more nice treatment. Whereas in the European Union, they don't really care. And they're the people that have like slapped Facebook with a lot of stuff that have pushed Amazon around. And now it seems that what they want is a standard for connectors. So if you're connecting up gear, you need to use a standard, and they've agreed upon USB-C, which means that for Apple, that they will have to find a way to use USB-C on their iPhones in the future. So at the moment, they've converted almost their whole range of iPads to USB-C, except for the regular iPad, that's still Lightning, but all the other iPads are USB-C. But as you'd probably be aware, all your iPhones, including the new iPhone 14s, are Lightning based. But that will change. The prediction is that I think that it doesn't come in until, so they can probably release the iPhone 15 with Lightning. So we're probably talking 2 years before this becomes a thing. But they will eventually need to get rid of Lightning. And what myself and many other pundits are assuming will happen is that they'll, instead of just going ahead and changing it, in their base models of iPhones, they'll probably remove the ports altogether. They'll say you can't hook up anything. So it'll have MagSafe and it'll have Qi charging. So everything will have to be wireless. So you'll be able to charge up, but it'll have to be wireless, and they'll take away every connector. And that's a bit scary. I don't think they'll ever do that with the Pro models. I think they realize that Pros, especially as the video cameras get better and better, there is no way they're selling an iPhone 16 Pro Max that can take, 8K video at 60 frames a second that uses, gigabytes and gigabytes per second, and they give you no way to get that data off apart from wireless, because wireless is great in a pinch and it's great for sort of small scale stuff. As soon as you need a big pipe of bandwidth, you need to connect that sucker up. So we'll see how we go. Yes. Look, Yamaha makes some great stuff. The AG06 is a great option here, as Leela's saying, and it's not super pricey either. Let's have a squizzle at the Yamaha AG06. Yeah, little 6-channel mixer and USB audio interface. If you come on over to this one, there it is. Look, $229, and look what you get. You get your two preamps there. You get the ability for your balanced and your unbalanced inputs and outputs. It's a great little mixer. If you're doing a combination of live and pre-recorded stuff, you really can't go wrong with that. Look, and you've got the same benefit that you have there to power it up, either via USB or via 5-volt DC, which is pretty cool. Just gives you that extra flexibility. And yeah, must admit, I don't love on a desktop having all the things. And look, I've got the same with my Zoom Live Track. All the plugs coming out the top there. It gets a little bit messy, but that's just if you're a little bit triggered by messiness like I am, then yeah, you'll probably struggle with that as well. It will take effect in 2023. Yeah, exactly. So I think, I think what I was reading is that it'll take effect, so anything produced then. So I think Apple could probably sneak one more set of iPhones in 2023, but I'm not sure. Hopefully not. Hopefully they just change it. Yes, I don't know where your mind. Get out of the gutter, Josh. Right. Let's see, JDL, did I see you drop on in? I do need to catch up on the interview that JDL did with Jade Starr just recently, because I missed most of it because I was sleeping, because I'm a lazy man. Got mine from Amazon UK for under £30, the official Apple, because it updated firmware. Yeah, so if you get that one, as long as it's the Lightning to USB 3 adapter and it's the Apple one, when you first plug it in, it'll update the firmware. You know you're on to a winner. If it doesn't, yeah, probably not. Has anyone used the Syntek USB-C to USB-A only adapter? Heard it is good for USB mics. I have not personally heard of it. Let's Google it. Let's use the power of Google and find out. Syntek USB Hub. Let's find it. Okay, yeah. So these look fairly similar to a lot of them going around. So there's something like this, USB-C to USB hub, 4 ports. Yeah, so, oh look, it's got a little adapter dealie so you can turn it into a USB-C or USB. Oh no, oh god, spin to win. Big Daddy, buy one, get one free. See, I don't like that. I wouldn't buy it just because they did that. But yeah, when it comes to USB-C, the good news is that for as much as I rant about USB Lightning to USB 3 adapters and needing to use the Apple genuine ones, when it comes to USB-C, you're pretty okay. Just don't buy the absolute cheapest. So, for instance, if you go to Amazon Let's just do a quick test. Amazon USB-C to USB adapter. Let's do a quick what to do and what to not do. What Pete recommends you should do when you're looking for stuff like this. So if you don't want to take my advice, you want to come in here and you want to find something. Don't buy the genuine Apple one. It's overpriced. It works. It'll work great, but it's overpriced and you don't need it when it comes to USB-C. These are all just the little adapters. Let's go USB adapter hub. See if we find something. So yeah, there you go. Is that one you were just looking at? The Syntek. So that's an Amazon choice. Change my address. That's right. It's my PO box. Anyone want to send me a present? You can send it to that PO box. I'll accept it. So Ugreen make a lot of these things. I've used Ugreen stuff before. Who's that made by? Here's the rub. A lot of these are just rebranded versions of the exact same thing. It's like that joke in The Simpsons where it's like the Duff Light and the Duff Draft and they all come out the same pipe. So these probably all come out of the same factories in Shenzhen, but they're just slightly differently branded. So you can see there like Vilcombe, Totu, whatever that says, Lemirol. So they're all pretty similar. Cable creation, I've used those before. Cable creation stuff works well. So I've got some cable creation. And yeah, look, to be honest, the reason I go Atola USB-C hub is that I've just had the best success with Atola stuff. And it's pretty cheap, but it's pretty good. So if you look at that, like that Atola one, really nice build on it, 4 ports, and it's $15. And it ships to Australia. And this is the one I was showing before. Like, look how cheap this is. You'd think cheap and nasty, but Atola just make quality stuff without the bells and whistles. So this one here, you got an SD card, USB 3s, and the USB adapter. It doesn't have power pass-through. Here's the thing. The one thing you want to make sure you get, if we just search that again, if you're buying a USB C adapter, is to make sure it has power pass-through. So that one doesn't have power pass-through. Let's find one that does. There you go. So this one, and again, you'll know because it'll cost a bit more. So this one's like $22. This is the one that I was showing you before that I have with the HDMI, the VGA, the USB, and the power pass-through. This is the one that's connected to my gear right now. And the cool thing about this is that it'll actually power up your iPad at the same time. So when you've got that plugged in, you plug your power in there, and then that'll power your iPad. So my iPad's always being powered as it's sitting here. So the reason that when I jump over to my iPad like so, that up the top there, you'll see it's always at close to 100%, 97% power, because I've been using it a bit, is because it just sits there being plugged in 24/7. So yeah, go for something like that. Like I say, the Atola one's what works for me, but just make sure it's got power pass through. And Anker, Atola, or Crew, they all make good gear. So hopefully that helps you and others out there. I've got one final question here, and then we'll talk a little bit about YouTube and then answer any final questions before we finish up. How many YouTube trophies do you have? Should be a bunch. A heck of a lot of videos you have. Have you ever been to the YouTubers convention or awards? No. So the one award I have is just out of shot there, but you can sometimes see is the 100,000, the silver play button is what they call it. I have been to a few sort of YouTube. Unfortunately, my YouTube career has happened to coincide with a little bit of a global pandemic, so I haven't actually been to any live events. I did attend the YouTuber retreat last year, but it was an online thing. So hopefully in the coming years, because they do these retreats where you go away and you hang out with other YouTubers and you learn really good stuff. Unfortunately, they just had, well, not the official YouTube one, but there's something called Vid Summit run by a guy called Daryl Eves, and he had a bunch of creators there talking. And unfortunately, I saw all these creators going, here we go, we're jet setting, we're off to Vid Summit, it's going to be amazing. And I'm just like, it's going to be COVID soup. And unfortunately, many creators came home with an extra souvenir that was probably not as desirable as they would have liked to. But no, in terms of that, I don't really do it for the kudos. I don't do it for the awards. No, but it's look, you get little things here and there, and invitations to some of these other things as you go along. So that's cool. Alrighty. Okay, so wouldn't charge. Yeah, so that's the problem. Atola, actually, I bought it through Amazon link. No pass through. Here's why it wouldn't charge the iPad. Yeah, exactly. The cheaper Atola one. So I probably need to do an updated video on that one just to reinforce the need to get one with power pass through, because otherwise it won't charge your gear. Do you need power pass through for a USB 3? USB hub. You don't need, so the Lightning ones has a Lightning port on it, so that's why the Lightning to USB 3 adapter is the one to go for, because it actually has it. So for instance, if we go Lightning to USB, and apologies that it's cable talk. Who knew that the final episode of Creator Town Hall would be cable talk with Pete Johns? But it's important stuff to hook up your gear, right? So this is the one to not buy. This one here, which is $13.68, looks like it's exactly the same, looks like it would do exactly the same thing, and in a different life, I would have just bought this because I'd be like, hey, a port is a port is a port, so surely that's going to be fine. That's not fine. So what you actually need is the Lightning to USB 3 adapter, and yeah, I'd highly recommend getting A, the Apple one, and B, the one that has the power pass-through, which in the case of Lightning, just looks like that. Just has a little Lightning adapter and the USB with the camera logo on it. So not available through Amazon right now, but yeah, cable guy. Yeah, let's talk about YouTube. So let's finish off by talking a little YouTube. YouTube are rolling out handles at the moment. If you don't have a custom URL, you can claim a handle that's specific for your channel being rolled out this week. Yes, absolutely. So I missed out on Pete Johns as my handle. Unfortunately, I got in there like really early, but I missed out on Pete Johns. So I've got Pete Johns Music, which probably makes a little bit more sense. And I was going to go Studio Live today, but I decided to go Pete Johns Music because that's what I'm kind of branded. The channel here has always been that, youtube.com/c/Pete Johns Music. So yeah, maybe in hindsight, I should align that all one day as Studio Live today or SLT, but I don't think I could get SLT. Slipped. Any port in a storm, absolutely. So yeah, do go and check that one out. I think if you're in your YouTube studio, let's see if we can find where you go to do that. It just popped up for me. There it is. So it should pop up for you like this, up the top there. See how it's got stand out and help people find and connect with you by choosing a unique YouTube handle. And you can click the choose now there and go into that. Let me just make sure it doesn't show any personal data, and I'll hit the choose now button and I'll just show you what it does. Yeah, so here's what you got. So we've got, there it is, Pete Johns Studio Live today. Your handle is reserved. Your handle is at Pete Johns Music. And I can go ahead and change it there if I choose to. There's a video there all about handles. And look, it's YouTube have got a nice vanity link there, which is just youtube.com/handle, which I'll throw in the chat there. So if you're a YouTube creator, here's the thing. The number one piece of advice I give for folks starting on YouTube is when YouTube launch things, use them. So when YouTube launched the community tab, I started using the community tab. When YouTube launched shorts, I started doing some shorts and experimenting with that. The main reason for that is that if they're giving it to you, they're usually giving a kind of a boost to people that are using those new things because they want to learn how they work. So you might get a little bit of additional organic interest and growth from using those sort of things. Unfortunately, I was a little bit late on shorts, but people that put a lot of short form video content early got a heap of traction and got a lot of attention, a lot of reviews from doing that. I was a little bit late to the party, but the community tab is surprisingly good, especially things like polls. People seem to love polls, and it's a good segue because right here on my YouTube channel, on my community tab. So if you go to a YouTube channel, by the way, if you're wondering what the community tab is all about, you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers, I believe, to get the community tab. But once you do, you'll get this little tab here. So when people go to your channel, so you can see that's sort of my long channel ID there. But as I said before, if you go to youtube.com/c/Pete Johns Music, it'll pop you to that same channel. And here under the community tab, for instance, you can see there that when I do Your Music Live, I normally put that on about an hour beforehand. And, 21 people have liked it. So probably a couple of hundred people see it. So it just increases. So if you're doing a premiere of a new music video or you want to draw attention to something you're doing, paste it here. Links perform worse. Like most things in social media, links perform worse than just text or pictures. So when I use a link there, I get much less attention there, especially if you link straight out to it. But when you see when I do a poll, like 126 votes, a lot more people sort of jump in on things when they're not links. Because like everything, YouTube, it doesn't really want to send you elsewhere, even within its own platform. It would rather keep you where you're at the moment. But the poll we've got at the moment here that's generating a lot of interest, 236 votes so far. And look, is metal catchable at this point? Probably not. But I said, which genre of music should I create in next week's Garage Band Weekly? And it's between metal, industrial, folk, polka, and reggae. I thought polka would get a lot more love. Polka at just 7% is a little bit down. But yeah, I thought that we'd get more for polka, but apparently people wanted me to make the metal. I think people just want to see me scream and do my big death metal screams. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. What was my point on that one? Yeah, use the features. So if YouTube give you handles, use the handles because they'll want to see how people are utilizing handles, and they'll probably give a little bump to people that are using the handles feature. Really hoping the handles will fix tag. Oh no, the tagging is a pain in the butt. I think this is why they're doing it, because other platforms, quick drink, other platforms like like Discord and Twitch and other places do a lot better with their handles. Whereas on YouTube, sometimes you try and at someone and there's like a bunch of different ones. Like when I try to at Jade Star, there's like 14 different Jade Stars, and trying to get the right one can be pretty tricky. And it's the same when people are trying to at tag me. It can make it hard. Yeah, the band. Oh, maybe I do need to get. I need to get some help. Get Jade on vocals. Get Gary Hubbs on bass. Maybe. Aloha from Memphis. Thank you. Always watching your tutorials. Learn so much from you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Very kind of you. It's great to see folks drop in that we haven't seen a bunch before. But as I always say, the usual suspects, you folks are amazing, folks that are here week in, week out, but yeah, great to see some new folks around. Don pronounced pair of dice, silly question. Don Paradise. Paradise. Don Paradise. Silly question. How do you get that little round circle to maneuver around GarageBand? Yeah, okay, we'll pivot to that for a moment, and then we'll return back for a couple of quick, because I did want to share these quick YouTube tips for you. So before we put the Creator Town Hall completely to bed, I did want to share a couple of quick tips with you. But the round circle, the GarageBand round circle, well, that is all about the mouse. So I use a mouse with GarageBand. You can connect either a USB if you've got the USB adapters, and watch the rest of the show to learn all about connecting USB stuff, because apparently that was our forte today. But I just use this Logitech. This is the Logitech silent mouse, the M590, which is my favorite little mouse because listen to that click. Or don't, because it's so soft, so you don't hear me clicking things around. But yeah, you just set it up like any other Bluetooth device, and then there's a whole bunch of tricky options that are hard to find. But the good news is that Pete Johns to the rescue, I have got a video about it. So if you search Pete Johns mouse into your YouTube searches, you'll get a bunch of different stuff there. So how to connect a mouse to an iPad or iPhone, that goes through all of the processes there. That was 2 years ago. Probably this one is the best guide. So this is the latest version of that one. So look out for this one, how to connect a keyboard and mouse to an iPad or iPhone. And it really is simple. If you've got a Bluetooth mouse, you've already got everything you need to do it, Don, because you can connect you can just sync it via Bluetooth and then go into the Bluetooth options, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, thanks for the question, and hopefully that will help. There you go. Yeah, grab your handles while you can. Because YouTube handles are where it's at. Thank you, Brad. Always love this show. Sad to see it go, but I know there's something just as cool to replace it. Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much, Brad. Appreciate you. Yeah, and here's the thing. This show came out of me doing a couple of shows, which was Home Studio Q&A and the Ask Me Anythings. So what we'll do instead of this show is we'll be doing some ad hoc ones, which you'll get plenty of notice and plenty of time. But these sort of shows are great where we just have a general chat. We get questions from folks here live. You can ask about things. I go off on weird tangents and hopefully provide some information and some value. So whilst we won't be doing a weekly 1 hour show in that pigeonhole, in that tight time frame, we will definitely be doing similar sorts of things. So it's not farewell. It's not going away completely. It's just giving us a little bit more flexibility. So yeah, hopefully that's cool. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good show to do, and like I say, it just means that we'll be doing similar sorts of things at different times. Let's leave you with a few bits of advice here about YouTube, because there's a couple of really quick things that you can do that are going to help you out when you're releasing music or videos or anything on YouTube. And kind of I'll compress what I've learned over the last 6.5, 7 years into these few things, and that is. With your videos that you're releasing, let's use this one as an example here. What I've learned over time is to keep it simple. So my thumbnails that you'll notice, like the one about the mouse, it's like mouse plus iPad. And it's a picture of me holding a mouse and an iPad. This one was about a fretless bass in GarageBand. So I've got a picture of the bass instrument in GarageBand and fretless bass, and that's what we went with there. comparing to what I was doing originally, which was a whole. So if you're doing tutorials in particular, if I put on the text of this one, Pete John Studio Live today, how to do a cool hack in GarageBand iOS and iPad and iPhone to create a fretless bass, even though fretless bass doesn't exist, you just use like I did a lot of that. I did a lot of videos where the thumbnail, I tried to cram all the information in there. But here's the thing: the thumbnail and the title should tell a story. So fretless bass, and then people are like, what? Oh, how to record fretless bass in GarageBand iOS. So when that comes down to like your own music videos, even if they're not tutorials, just keeping it simple is going to be good. So if it's a music video of you, find an interesting image and don't layer it up with text. So if your name's Thomas Christ, don't layer it up with Thomas Christ, great new metal song, industrial artist called this, blah, blah, blah. Just like boom, like that. And that will work a lot better. So, and I think I'm using Thomas as an example here, but let's go out because Thomas has definitely been doing amazing stuff lately with similar sorts of things. So yeah, look at that. This is what I'm talking about. Thomas Christ playing your music. Episode 57, you rock. And then listening to your most rockin' music. So that's what I'm talking about having a thumbnail which is interesting, got good imagery and really nice titling, and it complementing with your title there. If we go with like something like Mask, which is one of my favorite videos of Thomas's, yeah, look at that. Mask demo version. Like that's intriguing, isn't it? Sometimes you don't even need any text at all, especially if it's your music. And look at that one, Fear. Like it's got that real sort of emotional attachment. So yeah, there's ways that when you're sharing on YouTube to get your message across without spending a lot of time doing different things. The other thing I'll mention, the other big tip that I've learned over time, and I've showed it a couple of times here now, but your first line should be what a human or a search engine will want to find with your thing. So if here it's how to record bass guitar on a fretless bass in GarageBand, iPad, and GarageBand iPhone. And then your second line should always be a link to something else of yours. So even if this is your music video, my recommendation is put a line there that says, if it's Thomas Christ, just say, Thomas Christ's new song Mask is available now on all platforms. And then your second line should be check out more Thomas Christ music on this playlist, and then a link to that. And then what I've been doing recently is also using that same link. So to create this sort of like watchability and linking up to other things is putting that same link here in the actual video. And you do that by putting your own pinned comment. So, yes, it's cool to pin other people's comments because it's nice when someone comments on your thing and you pin that to the top. But before you release a video, just put a pinned comment like this one and more GarageBand videos, and then a link to my GarageBand Essentials YouTube playlist. So that way, if someone watches this and they're like, oh, I want to learn more about GarageBand, then guess what? It dumps them straight into here. And better than a playlist would be another video, because now they've got to choose. Now they're like, oh, which other one should I watch? So if I was a Gary Hubbs and I was like doing a great metal video, I would put my link as, now check out this amazing metal tune from Gary Hubbs, and just link it out to another one. So that just creates that ongoing watch party that you kind of want to get to people. I also recommend putting some details in here, because you got all of this space. You got 5,000 characters to play with. Now, you don't need to go nuts like me and have how to support the channel and how to subscribe and other related videos and my recommended gear guide and all my merchandise and resources and things. But at least have a few links in there. Like, this is your chance. This is your chance to link out to your Instagram, to your TikToks, to your wherever you want people to go, and just put the details straight in there. And if you separate it out like this, you can see there it's a lot cleaner. You use these little emojis. What are they called? Emojis. Little logos there, just to separate things out. Some spaces, some white space in there, and just make it readable. Because this does a couple of things. It lets humans actually link out to your stuff. But if there's information that goes into the metadata, that's actually going to help you with people finding your stuff. Speaking of finding your stuff, the other thing that you want to look at is your tags. Now, tags are less important now than they have been in the past. And to get to your tags, you keep scrolling down here on your video page until you get to this one. So here's the tags for this one. So I've got GarageBand bass, GarageBand fretless bass, GarageBand bass guitar, GarageBand upright bass. And you might be thinking, for my songs, what do I need to put in there? Well, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. Let's see what Thomas has done for his tags, because you can look at other people's tags. Again, with TubeBuddy, you can look at other people's tags. And here I am. I'm picking on Thomas here because I know he won't mind. So look at this. Industrial rock, industrial metal, Thomas Christ, electro rock, synth rock, Mask. So for that, that's pretty cool. I know this was from like a couple of years ago. I know these days Thomas would probably put in there Thomas Christ Music, Thomas Christ Live, a bunch of other things, Thomas Christ Mask. So yeah, just utilize as much of that as you can so that you actually can get people to find your stuff, because you might as well. Like, it's there, they provide it for you again. So put it in there. The other thing, if you've got a longer video, you can use chapters. I don't have, this one wasn't a very long video, so I don't have that. So those timestamps you put in there, but if you're releasing your own music, probably won't need that. But end screen. Cards, we won't talk about today. They're those little things that pop up during your video, but end screens are important, if not essential, things to put in there. So click on the end screen here, and what you can add, you can see here that my end screen on this one is just the last 5 seconds. It pops up my subscribe button in the corner, and then a link to more videos, so that when people are actually watching this, that will pop up. And it will just give them that little impetus to say, oh, now do this, now go watch that. So if we then come out here and go to that video, and we go to that last few seconds, this is what this is the idea. This is what you want someone to do. Boom, there it pops up, and they're like, oh, I haven't actually subscribed to John's, and they click that, and they're like, oh, let's see what's in this other playlist. Oh, boom, okay, we're straight in here. Look at all this stuff. So that's another great way to increase it, because everything you want to do, if you want people to be listening to music or watching your videos, you want them to continue doing that. So you want to create these cycles, this watch party where, they go through and they listen to all of your different music. That track was before I did things correctly. And look, that's the thing. I know Thomas and Gary Hubbs and a lot of folks over the last few years, and Jade Starr, they've all improved upon this. And if you want proof of how bad some of my stuff was early on, it really wasn't good. So I'm going to go back to some of my earlier videos to show you how bad some of my thumbnails and stuff were. And by the way, this is always fun. We'll finish on this, and then if there's any other questions, we'll answer those, but then we'll finish up. But if you go to, can we do it anymore? Can we filter out by, oh no, they've changed it. Oh man. So what you used to be able to do here in YouTube, and for some reason you can't do it anymore, you can only go to popular and recently uploaded. You used to, on anyone's channel, be able to flip it around, and you used to be able to filter by most recent or by oldest. And now it appears you can't do that. So buggered if I know why that would be the case. But let's just go to my popular videos and look at so even something like this. So see, like all that little text there, ThinkPad USB-C dock, Lenovo ThinkPad docking station setup. I didn't need all that additional text there because it was said down here, Lenovo ThinkPad USB-C docking station setup. So didn't really need all of that stuff. Most of these are okay, but look at this one. That's too much stuff on there. Too many bits and pieces on there. Don't even know what was going on with these ones here. But yeah, so there's some here that are okay. But look at that one. Multiple USB devices. Using a USB hub with your multiple. Again, you don't need that. I could have just said multiple USB devices, and then the title should be using a USB hub with your iPad or iPhone. Thankfully, it got lots of views, so it worked despite itself. And this one, no gear, record with the internal mic in GarageBand. So again, I'm repeating myself there. So yeah, over time, I've definitely been able to find ways to improve and do things a bit better. Alrighty. Let's see. The TubeBuddy SEO score tells you a lot about whether you've done things right. Exactly. So if you're using TubeBuddy, we could do a whole show on TubeBuddy. And if you're interested, maybe we do that. So that's going to be the flexibility. Maybe we can just do a whole show just about TubeBuddy in the future. But that is going to do it for this one. I'm just going to make sure I caught all the questions. If I missed you, please throw your question down in the comments, because I will definitely circle back to any of your questions that you have if I missed out on them here today. That is going to do it. We do have more shows this weekend because we've still got a big weekend of live. So we've got the happy hour coming up. We're doing a mystery happy hour. That'll be hitting the airwaves on Saturday evening for most of you, Sunday around midday if you're here in Australia. Then, of course, we've got our weekly show, Your Music Live, which will be hitting the airwaves as well, and that is Monday morning or Sunday afternoon or evening if you're in the UK, US and Canada. About midnight for those in the UK. I'm sorry. It'll get better. It'll get an hour better soon. So hopefully you can join me for that one. And then, of course, GarageBand Weekly, where looks like we're going to be making us some metal. So that could be very interesting. I better get my metal voice ready and prepared for that one. But that's going to do it for this show and for the Creator Town Hall in 2022. As I mentioned, we'll be back with other shows. We'll do some Ask Me Anythings in the next few weeks as well. So we can, if you do have your questions, because I do love the Q&A format. I do love going off on weird, random rants and tangents. So don't want to miss out on any of that. But we will just change things up a little bit. Yeah, if you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments below. As we say at the end of every show, please be kind to yourself this week, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you next time on Studio Live today. Bye for